So our next presenter will be Melissa Cooper Sargent, who's standing over here to my right, who is from the Ecology Center, and I think she's going to be addressing some incinerator concerns. You will, yes, yes. So, without further ado, Melissa Sargent.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Cooper Sargent, and give me one moment. Okay, I work for the Ecology Center. We're a nonprofit organization that was founded 40 years ago on the very first Earth Day, and I work out of our office in the Hannon House, which is on Woodward, right by the DIA. Right, so many of you have heard of that. So I will go ahead and answer the question that came from the previous speaker right off the bat. If you, right here? Oh, okay. Here we go. So if you smell odors from the incinerator or another facility, you can call the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. And they are available 24/7. And you oftentimes get a person on the phone, and if you don't, you leave a message. But if you do get a person, they will ask you a few questions. Be prepared to state your name, where you live, where you think the smell is coming from. So they'll spend a little bit of time with you on the phone, and then they will come out in person and see what they smell. And the incinerator facility has a consent decree. They have an agreement with the state that they are not to release any odors from the facility. So if you smell odors, that particular facility is in violation. So you can call, and it does make a difference because they've received 3 odor violations already this year. It's been, I'm sure we've smelled the incinerator, or it's actually the trash piling up before it gets burned. We've smelled it more than 3 times. But they've already received 3 violations from the state. So let me go back a little bit to introduction. So I live within 2 miles of the incinerator, less than 2 miles away, so I do smell it on a regular basis. And I am a part of a campaign to shut down the incinerator called Breathe Free Detroit. And this is a fairly new campaign, but this work has been going on since before the incinerator was even built. People were trying to prevent the construction of it, and Breathe Free Detroit is a campaign that consists of members of Zero Waste Detroit, who you will hear from next, and concerned individuals and others. So that's our goal, is to have the incinerator shut down. So I will tell you a little bit about what we've been doing and how you can get involved, and just give you a little more information. So over the past year, we put together a report, and there are a few copies on the back table, but this is also available online, or we'd be happy to mail you some copies if you don't get one today. And so this report is about the construction, design, and operation of the facility. And so we released this report about a week and a half ago, and we had a press conference right outside the mayor's office. And at that same time, we also had a collection of about 15,000 signatures that was from a change.org petition, which is still available online. If people are able to go online and want to sign it, you can go to change.org, and if you search Mayor Duggan or Detroit, it should pop up. And it's asking the mayor of Detroit to do what he can to shut down the incinerator. So we were able to deliver the signatures to the mayor's office, and went upstairs in person, and they received it, and they have also said, okay, why don't you guys come and talk with us? So since then, we have met with the Office of Sustainability, and we are due to speak with the mayor's office later this summer. So what Breathe Free Detroit has been doing, even prior to that, we were reaching out to the state, which of course we continue to do. We've been educating and encouraging people to come to hearings when the DEQ holds a hearing. Last year they had a hearing about the violations that were mentioned in the last lecture, that they've had hundreds and hundreds of violations violating clean air laws. One in particular, over some of the contaminants that were mentioned in the previous, from the previous speaker, they test for continuously. So carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and a few others they test for every day. Other ones, they only test for once a year. Particulate matter, they test for once a year, and this is kind of just as it sounds, little tiny bits of debris that's left over from burning. So this could be itty-bitty pieces of metal and just particulate matter. And so this is considered a pollutant. They test for it once a year. And in 2016, when they were testing for it, they found that there was a hole in one of their stacks that was releasing particulate matter straight out into the air. We don't know how long that had been going on because, again, they hadn't tested for that for a whole year prior. But it took the facility 64 days after they discovered the hole to actually fix the hole. So that was 64 violations right there. Well, the DEQ fined them for one violation. They fined them as if it was only one day. It was one violation, they considered it a 64-day violation. So when we went to the public hearing, residents came. We were at the International Institute in the Hall of Nations. The place was filled. We had over 50 people making comments and providing testimony and, saying this is not right. And the MDEQ stuck by what they had said, and they continued to, gave a fee of $149,000 to the facility, which it could have been, the fines could have been in the millions for what they were actually releasing. So we keep pushing the MDEQ. The odors is one thing that the MDEQ can act on, so we do continue to encourage people to call about the odors. But the mayor can also do things as well. So I can outline a few things that we are asking the mayor to do. One, it was mentioned that the city has a contract to dispose of waste at the incinerator. Right now, only about 25% of the waste that's burned at the incinerator is coming from the city of Detroit. The majority of it is coming from outside the city. But our waste, we have a contract that says we will send our waste to the incinerator. That contract comes up in 2021. So we are talking to the mayor's officials, anybody who will listen to us, saying we need to start making a plan now to not renew that contract in 2021, and where will our trash go, and what will that look like, and how do we get there? So we need to start working on that now. We've been sending postcards, and I have a stack here, and we would love for people to fill these out, and we will collect them and send these into the mayor's office with a short message of, please shut down the incinerator, maybe who you are, where you live, and why, or anything. But we've been sending postcards, and the mayor has been receiving them and has taken notice that he's already received a couple hundred of these. So we would love for more people to send postcards. A few other things that can be done. The mayor could go to Lansing and advocate on our behalf. He could go to the state of Michigan and say, look, this is a facility that's polluting the air of our residents. Do something about it. The mayor could put tariffs on any garbage that's coming into the city. Charge a tax. We don't want outside garbage coming in, being burned in Detroit, and having our residents breathe the air and suffer the consequences. So there could be tariffs that could be put on incoming trash. We own the land. The city owns the land that the incinerator sits on. Every time they violate the clean air laws, they are in breach of contract. The city could reach out to the facility and say, look, you are breaching this contract right now because you're not following the laws. That's not being done. Again, since we own that land, the lease is up in 2035. It may seem like a long way off, but we could not renew that lease in 2035. So there's a variety of things that we as citizens of Detroit and the mayor could be doing to take action. Right now, the mayor's stance is that it's up to the state. It's not anything that the city can do anything about. It's a state-regulated facility. So that's the perspective that was their response to our press release, and that was so that's why we're saying, hey, no, there's a few things that you actually can do. So I'm not sure how much time. I might have a couple more minutes. But we would love for folks to get involved. We are having a pizza party outside in a community garden, which is on Farnsworth, at the corner of Farnsworth and Moran, on July 25th. We would love for folks to come. We have a sign-up sheet if you'd like to give us your information, and we can stay in touch with you. We send a couple emails a month to let people know what we're doing. We will be at the Kite Festival that's happening on Belle Isle on July 15th with a table and some more information there. So we'll be having some activities this summer. We hope to also have a potluck at Peck Park, which is very close to the incinerator, and just to get to know each other better and share what we know and share our progress and see how folks might like to be involved. So yes, you have a question? It is Detroit Renewable Power. So the question was, who owns the incinerator? And the incinerator has shifted hands. I didn't get into the history of it, which this report does get into the history of the facility. But when it was built by the city with the intention of, hey, we will be self-sufficient. We will take care of our own garbage. We won't need to rely on landfills, which back then, 30 years ago, it was supposed to be, people were predicting that landfill space would be at a premium. So the idea was, we'll dispose of our own waste and we'll build a super large facility so that we can take waste from other communities and charge them money, and it will be a moneymaker for the city. Well, it never ended up being a moneymaker for the city. It cost the city millions and millions, and we just, I believe, just recently got out of the debt from the incinerator. So, but it is owned by the Detroit Renewable Power, and it actually recently changed hands, and it's changed hands quite a few times because it's just not a great business to be in, I think. So thank you, and we'll take more questions at the end, I believe. All right, thank you.